Guys, it's Patrick from TechFanatiX here. We're going to be coming at you with a review of the Motorola Photon Q LTE. Stay tuned to TechFanatiX for all future tech reviews. We have a lot of new devices coming in for review and some awesome accessories. So stay tuned to this review for a in-depth look at the Motorola Photon Q LTE. Let's get started with this review. So here we have the Motorola Photon Q LTE. It is a device that runs on the Sprint network. It has LTE. It has a 4.3-inch screen. It's a nice size screen. It's also got about 7.5 hours talk time. I've been able to get a good amount of talk time out of it. It's got a 785 milliamp battery, so that's a pretty large battery for a phone this size. It's got a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz processor. It's got 1 gig of RAM, which is pretty good for a phone. I don't think they put much more than that into any of the mid-range phones. It's got an 8 megapixel camera in the rear, right up here, which also shoots 1080p video at 30 frames per second, so that is full HD. It's got a 1.3 megapixel camera up here in the front, and like I said, this is on Sprint's LTE network, which they have started their rollout on, but they have not quite yet completed it. I know here in Nashville they do not have it turned on yet. Hopefully they're going to get it turned on soon. Then I'll be able to give you guys some speed tests with that as soon as I can. And with that, we will conclude our specs, and let's actually get into the review. So I've been using this phone for about 4 weeks now, and I gotta say I love it. There's not much you can do to slow it down with the processor that's in it. It's really snappy. As you can see here, it's a little sluggish now, but I've got a lot of stuff open here. Some of it's resource-intensive stuff like the camera, Instagram, Foursquare, Tap-a-Talk for Forms, the Play Store, Twitter, stuff like that. So it responds pretty good. I am running the stock launcher. I wanted to get the best feel for the devices I could. As you can see, I got quite a few apps on here, and it still runs pretty smooth. It runs pretty good doing games like Angry Birds or Mass Effect. That stuff runs pretty well on it, not much lag. Asphalt 7 runs pretty good, not without much lag. This is still running Android 4.0, or actually 4.0.4, so it is not running Jelly Bean yet, but I believe it has been slated for a Jelly Bean upgrade sometime in the near future. I'll have to check with Motorola on that one, and I will make sure to post that in the written review. It's a lot like standard ice cream sandwich with a few of their tweaks. This is the standard drop-down bar for ice cream sandwich. It's got a different launcher than they do on regular ice cream sandwich, but that is because this is running Motorola Blur. You can see here that I got their new circles, which is kind of a taste of, as you can see here, we've got the new circle widgets, and I have to say, I really do like them, because I can flip through them here, and I can have multiple cities in them. I've got my clock here that I can have multiple clocks in. And I've got my battery here, which if I can tap that, it'll bring me right to the battery. And while we're here, we can go ahead and look. You can see I've gotten 8 hours and 22 minutes out of it. You can see it's kind of done a steady drop there. Let's see, the screen on time for it is about an hour. And that's at almost full brightness. And I have actually been in some pretty bad coverage areas today, so it's doing pretty good on its battery. As you can see, I'm getting emails that roll in here. One of the things that this phone boasts over most others is its full physical QWERTY keyboard. I've got to say, I'm not a huge fan of the physical keyboard, as it does add quite a bit of bulk to it, but I do have to say it does come in handy sometimes. It's got a full directional pad down here, tab button. It's got ways that you can do shortcuts, as you see over here with the tab. It's got a button that if you just hold down the tab, it'll activate voice. It's got symbols. It's got a full numeric pad up here, which is pretty nice instead of them putting it on the keyboard. So that's a plus and a minus to some people. Some people will like it because they want a physical keyboard. I know a lot of people that do. And some people will just prefer a thinner phone with no physical keyboard. So it just comes down to a personal preference. This phone does not have a removable battery. It is locked in there. So that is a drawback to some people. I know for myself the battery was pretty good, so I don't really need that removable battery. It's got over here, you have your micro SD slot. It supports up to a 32 gig micro SD card, so that's a pretty large size. On the right side you have your dedicated camera button, you have your volume rockers. On the top you have your power and your headphone, standard 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. On the side you have your USB and your mini HDMI. Then on the bottom we got nothing. On the back we have our camera. We obviously have the Motorola logo. And then down here we have the speaker, which from what I've tested it with some YouTube and a little bit of Spotify and stuff, it's got a pretty good speaker on it. You don't have to have it up at full volume to get a good sound out of it. Like I said, I've had pretty good experiences with this device. I'm not so sure that I would buy this device personally because I am a fan of a little bit of a bigger screen, probably a 4.6 to a 4.7 inch screen, and I would prefer to get something that runs pure ice cream sandwich or pure jelly bean, something a little more like the Nexus line or the Galaxy S3 line. But you know, this is a very good phone, and at its price point, it's pretty good. So with that said, I love the phone. I really enjoyed using it. The only things that I would change would be I would offer this exact phone with the keyboard and without the keyboard. And I would like to see, now that Google owns Motorola, I would like to see them to kind of phase out Blur and to just bring in pure AOSP to it. Those are my two drawbacks with this phone, would be the keyboard and the fact that it's not running AOSP. Other than that, I have zero complaints with this phone at all. It's performed like a champ. It's basically had service everywhere that my other Sprint phones have service. And it roams good. It's a beautiful phone. The battery lasts forever. But like I said, the only thing is the physical keyboard and that it's not running pure AOSP. So if you're looking for a good Android phone without really breaking the bank, I would say to go for it. I would go into your local Sprint store and I would use one first, a little heavier, a little thicker. But other than that, I love it. So with that, we are going to conclude our review. Stay tuned to TechFanatiX.com for future reviews of devices and accessories and breaking news. Thank you guys.